Hi, so a while back I did a review on my Blackout-Mini H, and it's now 12 months old. I ordered it on the 29th of January last year, and all the parts arrived over the following month or two. And so here's a follow-up review, 12 months with the Blackout-Mini H. This is the probably the 20th or 30th rebuild. Every time I crash it, or I rebuild it and change something and try stuff out, and so I've got a lot of experience with building these now. I've had 3 major crashes with this. The first one was the day I got it. I didn't really understand how FPV worked, and I flew into a tree. The second one, I was trying to do forward flips through a goalpost and didn't leave enough room and went full power into the ground. And the third one, the most disappointing one, was my transmitter died and I fell out of the sky from about 30 or 40 meters in Death Valley and just total wipeout, total loss. What do I think of the Blackout after 12 months? It's amazing. It's taken such a beating, and it just keeps on carrying on. You can see the frame at the front's getting a bit banged up. This was most of this damage happened when I flew at full speed into a pole, sort of deliberately, because the BBC asked me to give them some crash footage, basically. We did a pilot, the London Aerospace, we did a pilot with the BBC, so they could think about making a drone racing show. So, the frame's amazing. As you can see, I've switched out all of those nylon bolts for steel bolts. The nylon bolts are great. Like the 3 big crashes I'd had, the top section always completely disassembled, and I don't think I've ever lost any actual components, like I had them destroyed, except for a motor. One motor got destroyed. These are a lot cheaper now. These used to be like $40 a motor, these Tiger motors, but they've dropped. Like, competition is a great thing. They've dropped in price to about 17 quid, so about $22. So, still a great motor. So I'm running the same Open Pilot Revolution that I started with. Obviously, I've updated to the Mini-Me firmware now, which is really good. Acro Plus mode is awesome fun. Power distribution board, this is the second power distribution board, this is version 2. Version 1, I had a problem where I think I must have hit the ground too hard too many times and developed a hairline fracture. Because when I'd fly along, it'd be like, ning, 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 and it would cut out, and I think what was happening was the resonance of the motors would suddenly line up and pull apart that hairline fracture and cut the power momentarily. So I had to replace it. I'm not a fan of power distribution boards anymore. I think now there's a sort of the 30mm square size, which is what the Open Pilot and the Tau Labs Brain and the Nays all are. There's a power distribution board now which is stackable and just fits in that space there, and then you obviously just use wires for the rest. I think that's actually going to be lighter than the power distribution board as well. I don't think the power distribution boards actually save much weight. So I'm still using Open Pilot Revolution. I don't have a head-up display on this. Like 12 months ago, head-up displays were very much reserved for much larger quads using things like the Eagle Tree Vector. But now with the Tau Labs Brain and with the Minimo SDs, it's getting pretty normal to see a head-up display even on mini quads like this. So my next upgrade, I think, will be to switch to a Brain and a D4R2. So then you can get battery voltage and a head-up display all on one tiny little package with a stackable power distribution board. Will make a nice combination. I'm using the X8R transmitter. I used the X6R for a long time because it had analog A2 analog input, so you could get telemetry back to your Tyrannus. I swapped out onto a bigger quad, and I put the X8R back on this. And there's now an X8R analog. X8R2 analog chip, which is about 7 quid from a couple of different places, that gives you battery telemetry voltage. Let's plug it in and I'll show you. It works. Sometimes let's see. So you can see now that I've got 11.2 volts in these cells, which is right. It's sometimes you boot it up and it jumps all over the place. I think there's a bug in the firmware. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Can be a bit annoying. I'm still using this. This is the LC filter from Fat Shark that I got with my original Fat Shark transmitter. I've polymorphed this onto the top, and I still use this. This is I really love this. It's a great way. It's a really tidy way of just like having an easy to plug in point for your battery and and then your balance terminal goes inside, and then out of that, this is the power for the video transmitter. So my video transmitter is completely, my video transmitter power and my camera power is completely separate from anything that has ESCs on it. I get no static with this, no rolling lines, no shudders, no interference, nothing. Like this thing, the video on this is absolutely rock solid. This is actually a Fat Shark or an immersion circular polarized antenna. Obviously the top broke during one of the crashes. On the they're good. They're very expensive though. If you're in the UK, on Facebook, there's a guy. He's got a Facebook group called Skew Polar Antennas. He sells these for like 30 quid a pair, and they're absolutely amazing. They're the best antennas you could possibly hope for. So look him up. They're really good. And the thing that made the most difference with apart from having a completely separate power, the thing that made the most difference to having completely crystal clear video was actually making sure that the video transmitter wire coming out of the video transmitter does not touch anything that has electricity or radio waves running through it. So this tiny little bit of foam down here that like keeps the power separate from the VTX cable made a really big difference. These VTX cables, I think, are absolutely a must-have. A lot of people now seem to be like just mounting the VTX up here and then using a right-angle antenna. And the problem is if you fly under a tree, your antenna gets hooked and it just rips the back out of the VTX. Every major crash I've had when I was using nylons would break the top section apart from the bottom section, and the only thing that held those two parts together was this flexible VTX cable here. If I hadn't had that, if I'd actually had the antenna like connected directly to the VTX or not able to flex, I think I would have lost 3 video transmitters, and they're like 70 quid each. They're quite expensive. I'm still using the Sony board cam. I've like wrecked a couple of these flying into goalposts and stuff. Now I just order them like 3 at a time. I tried the really fisheye lens one, and then went back to the middle one. I've got the park lines turned on, which is sort of diminishing lines used to tell you whether or not you're going to be able to fit, a car into a car parking space. Because I'm flying the forward angle mounts, I like to have like those lines on the screen so I can basically like line up so I can judge when I'm actually level, so I know I can come down and land without flying forward. I really like forward angle mounts. I flew it for the first time this morning, and it's just really nice to just be able to when I was flying before, if I was trying to maintain forward speed, I'd be like constantly like just staring at the grass and then like pitching up to see where I was and then staring at the grass again, pitching up and staring at the grass. Whereas now I'm still tipped forward a little bit, but I can see where I'm going the whole time, and then like even when I'm like pitched up level, like if I'm thinking about doing a flip or something, I can still like see where I'm going. So I really like the forward angle mounts. These are on Thingiverse. Just get someone to print them for you. There's 2 different kinds. Like they come in a set of 4, but there's 2 different shapes. The trick is to make sure that the taller side of this back slot is on the outside of the back and on the inside of the front. That way all of your motors will line up in all 4 directions. You see the motors sort of line up. It's hard to get the angle right, but yeah, if you do that, it's it just wants to go. Like you take off and it's just like charged, like raring to go forward. Some people reset their ACC, like they basically reset they calibrate the quad so that they tell the flight controller that is level, so that like hands off sticks, it will just stay there in horizon and attitude mode. Because in rate mode, it doesn't matter. Rate or acro mode, it just doesn't matter. Like the quad just stays wherever you put it. But in attitude mode, like there seems to be a bit of disagreement about whether or not you want hands off sticks to basically just hover and stay in one place, or whether hands off sticks should basically just be like like fly forward. Personally, I haven't decided yet. I am flying it with no compensation, so like if I just take my hands off my sticks in attitude mode, it just like zoom straight forward. But we'll see. So yeah, if I was starting this again, if I was starting a new build tomorrow, what would I do differently? I would probably use the FPV Labs, the FPV Brain from Tau Labs. It's got all the advantages of OpenPilot, but also comes up with a head-up display and a D4R2, which is the smallest FR Sky transmitter. And if there's a way you can cut one tiny little trace on that D4R2, and you'll get battery voltage out as well. So that saves one more chip. I would probably... I've learned a lot about how to mount ESCs. Obviously, this is a terrible way to mount ESCs. The trick seems to be nowadays to insulate them with a single piece of electrical tape and then put heat shrink right over the arm so that they actually get heat shrunk onto the arms. Like, I really like to do that, but it's just a hassle to cut all the wires in there. And they've been wired up for so long that I probably won't do that on this quad. What else would I do differently? Probably not much. I really like how this thing's playing right now. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, blackout-mini H, thumbs up. Highly recommend.